Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Just a few days ago I was walking over to my neighbor's house. It was a warm and sunny morning here in tropical KZN, South Africa. Birds were singing in the trees and my big black cat Buzz was bouncing by my side. I opened her gate and walked into her garden and was surprised by an unexpected sight. Laying on the stone paving, nestled under a heap of gardening boots and an old unicorn bag, rested a dinosaur. Finding toys in the gardens of happy homes is not unusual, however this particular plastic dinosaur made my mind buzz. This is a figure of Cryolophosaurus, a remarkable Antarctic dinosaur from the early Jurassic. When you think about it, it is truly incredible that such an ancient and obscure animal is still appreciated and honored to this day, so many millions of years into the future. The mind-blowing amount of time that has passed, how much the world has changed from when this dinosaur existed to now being the favorite toy of a little boy really made me smile. It's an amazing story that I want to share with you today. About 196 to 188 million years ago, Cryolophosaurus stalked the lush and temperate forests of Antarctica. This was a medium-sized carnivore by dinosaur standards, reaching lengths of 6 to 7 meters and weighing about 350 to 465 kgs. However, they were probably one of the largest predators around in the southern hemisphere at this time. The most distinctive feature on this dinosaur is the extraordinary crest on its head. Like its more well-known relative Dilophosaurus, this crest was most likely some sort of display structure or may have helped members of the same species to recognize each other. Antarctica at this time in our world's history was vastly different to the frozen wasteland it is today. The continent was much closer to the equator and was covered in humid temperate forests which were full of life. Grass did not yet exist, instead lush fields of ferns covered the lower landscape. It can be very hard to try and imagine just how long ago the early Jurassic was compared to our modern time, especially when you just see the massive 196 million number. In order to see just how incredibly long ago this was, let's have a look at a visual example. Take a look at this measuring tape, which has a maximum length of 5 meters. If we are going to fit 196 million years into 5 meters, we need to make every little millimeter represent 39,200 years. Already you can see just how mind-blowing this is. Say, for example, you went back 4,000 years from our current time. This is when the last of the woolly mammoths went extinct, and many of the great civilizations such as the ancient Egyptian Empire began to grow. All of the achievements and history of our species, from the Roman Empire, building the Great Pyramids of Egypt, the many inventions, discoveries, cultures, and religions don't even go far back enough to be more than 1 millimeter on our measuring tape. Now, if we go back to approximately 2.9 million years ago, this is when our early human ancestor Australopithecus africanus lived along with many more ancient upright apes in the savannas of Africa, while the giant and terrifying shark Megalodon prowled the seas. If we go back further to 66 million years ago, this is when the devastating KPG mass extinction event took place, when a colossal meteorite marked the end of all non-avian dinosaurs on Earth. Some of the most famous dinosaurs lived at this time, including Tyrannosaurus, Triceratops, and many more. Further still, now going back to 99 million years ago, this is when my favorite dinosaur, the strange and mysterious Spinosaurus, lived in the great waterways of northern Africa. Going back even further to the late Jurassic, 155 million years ago, this is when Stegosaurus, Brachiosaurus, and Allosaurus, among with many other famous Jurassic animals, lived. You can see that T-Rex lived far closer to our time than it did to Stegosaurus. Now, only at the very end of our measuring tape, we finally reach 196 million years ago, when Cryolophosaurus lived. You can see by the sheer immensity of this time alone just how long dinosaurs have ruled our world, and we aren't even taking into account the Triassic period, which started a further 96 million years back from this time. Isn't it absolutely crazy to look at this incredibly vast stretch of time and think a little boy is playing with a toy of an animal which lived all these millions of years ago? Isn't that insane to think about? It's crazy enough to think how incredibly lucky we are to even know about a creature that lived so far into the past. Our fossil record is vastly incomplete. We currently know about thousands of prehistoric animals, plants, and trees that once lived on our world, yet this is only a tiny fraction of the incredible life that once existed. There are likely billions, if not trillions, of ancient animals that have still not yet been discovered, or may be completely lost to us, leaving no fossil evidence that they ever existed. Yet we are lucky enough to know about an 196 million year old dinosaur from Antarctica, whose form can be seen in the favorite toy of a young boy today. It's times like this when I often wonder what archaeologists far into the future would think if they found one of these dinosaur toys in the ruins of an ancient building. I bet they would be gobsmacked. How did a human know about an animal that lived so unfathomably long ago from the South Pole? Let alone creatures that were even older like Dimetrodon, the extraordinary synaspid which is often mistaken for a dinosaur but is in fact a stem mammal. They lived from 295 to 272 million years ago from our current time. I find it so heartwarming to think after all this time, an animal like Cryolophosaurus is still adored and loved. So much has changed and come to pass, yet you have not been forgotten. You are still here with us and are honored.